I guess we're here. I say, I guess we're here, folks. Hi, let's do this better. I'm Joe Wesley, and this is.
Hi, Lizzy, Gabor here. Hi, guys. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. For those who are seasoned with us on our 25th, oh geez, let's get this going. I'm laughing at ourselves. A little bit of backstory on this that we don't rehearse our presentations. I, I'm going to actually say neither of us are connoisseurs on how to do podcasting. It's a new experience for us. But we're doing this deliberately because we want people to think I got to be born that way to make that happen, or I'll never be able to do that. Self-doubt is a killer. And I'm sure Lizzy will, as we proceed on, talk a lot about that. So in fact, that's a lot of her presentation. Intellectually, I get that, but she does it by yin yang moment. She does the right brain, feely, touchy stuff. I'm left brain kind of guy, so I'm like Dr. Spock and proud of it. And she's warmth and cuddliness and stuff like that. So I don't get what she's talking about. So the purpose of these sessions is she's going to somehow, she believes, show me the value of incorporating her technique, her style, her philosophy. Because why is it important? So I'll be healthier, wealthier, wiser as a result of it. And that seems to be the concept. I'm still can't get right all of what she does. So every now and then with these different sessions, I'm going to ask her to repeat herself. But for those who are seeing us live, we do tend to start a little bit early to give us some background chatter to you, the backstory. To remind you in joining us, besides thank you, that you can visit us through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. To remind you, please leave comments. But if you're going to leave a comment, certainly for YouTube, also you must sign in either through your Google account or YouTube account to make that happen. If you're looking at us on the replay side, again, leave comments because we do audit that. We do follow up on it because we really want to hear your feedback. I need all the help I can to make any sense at all of what Lizzy's trying to express to me and the world around her. The people I hear who I know of her, they think she walks on water. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my toe in the mud as I see it. So anyway, she's going to make me a better person, she says. I need your help, folks. I get to choose the topics that confuse me the most. She shares her subjects with me, and I like that. And today, her topic is, of sorts, and I'm going to paraphrase it, your thoughts. Are they real or not? Now, see, for me, that's right up my alley because, no, this talking is all in my head. I can make it whatever I want to make it, and that's why I'm so confused more than not, perhaps. So I'm going to stop rambling on, and Lizzy, help me out on this.
I think that I start to usually approach this topic of, that people think of, mind, body, spirit, like mind, body. I also add mind, body, heart, spirit. So like that we are 4 different things. So we are not our mind. We are not our thoughts. Mm-hmm. We have thoughts, right? And our thoughts come from like our belief system. They're like filtered through our belief system.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
Well, that's where I say to people, and myself, is this thought true? Is this thought true? Like where I think the healing for myself started was when I started to see that I could actually question whether the thought that I was thinking was true or false, or whether I had created a story around it. Because as I say, I'm a recovering overthinker. So I would analyze the crap out of everything and come to realize that it could easily have been just based on, some sort of I'm not good enough thought about myself that I just like create this whole pattern around the story. And then I end up feeling really bad.
I hear that, but I got to ask you a question. How did that, again, one of the challenges I have, audience, is that when Lizzy speaks, she'll say in a very casual manner, well, I realized one day that it could be better for me. As nice as it sounds, I'm always asking, well, it sounds like you just turned a light switch on. How did that self-awareness evolve that allowed you to get to that point to even question internally the reality moment?
I think I was sick and tired of believing in the thoughts and really wanting to change the way that I was experiencing my life. Right. And that was like it came for me with mindfulness, within the present moment. Is this a true thought? Like, am I really, is that person really thinking that about me? Or am I saying that to myself, not knowing, because we don't know our thoughts. We think that our thoughts, our thoughts are in us.
Yeah.
So my thoughts, are not necessarily in you. It's how I interpret them and the perspective I take on them.
I
And
hear that, but you just slid in another phrase, mindfulness. Until I met you, I had hardly heard that word mindfulness. So for the rest, those of us in the audience who are clueless, so how did you get the mindfulness part? I'm still trying to reverse engineering. See my left brain phenomena here. I'm trying to reverse engineer how we got the result. So, okay, fine. Self-awareness, I get that. Mindfulness, the same concept. But did you hear it on a TV commercial or?
I think no, I learned it when I first started meditating, and then I started becoming a student and reading a lot about it. And I mean, really, mindfulness just means, bringing present moment awareness without judgment,
I hear
whatever
that.
it is you're thinking.
I got to interrupt again. This never ends, folks. So we explain mindfulness by talking about you began meditating. So how does one find that as an option? It's still turning the switch on. It's got to be more involved than that.
Well, for me, it was by accident because I didn't know that I was meditating. I didn't know I was going to a meditation.
That's what I want to know. So explain that accident for me. I did
not know. They just said lay down on the floor, and they started guiding us through this thing. And all I know is I came out of it, and I was like, ooh, I don't feel anxious in this moment. I need to find out more about this. So I got very curious.
Well, did somebody invite you to that session? Or?
Someone invited me to go on this trip, thinking it was a wellness kind of spa retreat, not knowing that every activity was infused with how do we get you to really become in the present, experience being in the present moment.
Okay. And I'm going to ask that before we get to the details. So did they kidnap you and take you, or was there a mutual dialogue? You saw some value in what they were saying? So what was the sell to get you?
The sell was to go to a spa.
Okay. Now it makes sense. See, now I get it. Okay. Now it begins to register.
Not to go meditate. And then, it was just like, the first class is when we arrived, it was in 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, let's go. And so I'm lying down body to body, literally, like next to each other, not like we would do right now, very close. And for an hour, we were guided through this meditation. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel better. Okay. And but what I learned as a result of just learning the term mindfulness was like, even for when I would have a negative thought or a negative thought about somebody else, say, if I could wait like 2 or 3 seconds, just stop for 2 or 3 seconds, I could choose, okay, I'm going to bring my attention attached to that thought, or it's going to go poof, like a cloud going by in the sky. It's just you're just going to release it, because if you don't put your attention on it, it won't stay with you. Okay. And that's such a beautiful revelation. It was such a beautiful revelation to me, because that I was the one who was having those negative thoughts stick to me, and I could just as well have the tiny bit of space, to let it go, and then maybe it would come right back. And then I could let it go again. And then it became where I got to be more in control, but I almost became like a game where I would be like, hello, negative thought, or to say somebody said something that I thought was not so nice. I immediately could completely, they don't like me. They think this about me. They think da, 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 da. Or what I started to do was like, okay, like maybe think about what is it that they're thinking. Maybe they are having a rough day. Maybe something happened in their home that morning. Maybe it's totally not about me. Okay. And maybe on the other hand, maybe it was something that was hurtful. So why did it hurt me? Do I believe that about myself? Did they actually hurt me? And so I need to maybe address that with them. It just became a lot more I was going to say thoughtful, but
well, it sounds like it's an awareness, if nothing else.
Yes, absolutely.
You're considering something that had not been a part of your lifestyle. Responsive awareness. Rephrase that. We had an earlier talk. It just hit me here about, do you react or do you respond? Right. And so what you just described was a distinction that the history many of us, I guess, suffer through as we react to stuff rather than having the space to respond to it.
Yes.
And not that I'm going to give you a talk for you here by any stretch, but I guess is mindfulness in part having the ability to have the space to make a deliberate response rather than knee-jerk react? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. I mean, it goes so along with what, I learned the equation, and I learned from my coaching teacher, which, events plus your response equals the outcome, so, and all of our power lies in our response. So
Mm-hmm.
it's becoming, more responsive and less knee-jerk reactive. And, again, our mind will go knee-jerk negative. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, that's how our survival mechanism was developed.
Right.
So again, it's when we do take that pause to reflect, to respond, to say, I'm going to ignore that because it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings so much more peace into your life.
Well, but see, then that goes to the core of a problem of this dialogue. Then,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of it's not once you say that's, I can understand the ability to question what's the intent of this moment before I decide how to respond back to it. I get that totally. But again, it goes back to the key issue, your thoughts, are they real or not? So when they say it's not about me or it is about me, how does one make that distinction? Because one can say, well, it really isn't about me, but am I saying that to fool myself? Who was it, the king that wore no clothes? Is that, remember that fable that the king was saying had this guy who he hired to make these fine gowns for him, and the king was saying, well, I don't see it, well, but it's so elaborate. People with highbrow vision will see it definitely well. And so the king was strutting around wearing no clothes because he was convinced. And of course, his courtesans and his subjects will say, you look great, because they get hung if they didn't say their heads chopped off. So he was convinced he looked good.
Mm-hmm.
And as the story went, he was on this big parade through town to display his fineries, and and the crowd was murmuring, oh, this fantastic, what great wisdom you have, what great skill and technique and style you have, until some 13-year-old boy hollered out, why is he naked? So that changed the whole thought of the conversation. So how do we make that distinction for ourselves?
Yeah, that's an interesting example. A very interesting example. Whereas, obviously, he didn't really have to worry about trusting himself because he had everybody,
Feeding into him, sure.
Yeah. So I think as a regular person, um,
Well, come on. Now, I'm gonna challenge that. We choose our friends on how, in part, they make us feel.
mhm.
We may not, we may not choose our frenemies, if I'm saying that correctly, but for those of us, we make a choice. And do they enable us? What's that phrase, enabling? Do they help us? I mean, we could have many more different topics than just
Yeah.
this one concept. So let me stop talking, give you some space
Well, no, I
to
mean,
respond.
as far as the people we surround ourselves with, yeah, I always talk about, and with my clients, to the people you're around, inspire you, expire you, expand you,
Mhm.
contract you, make you rise or make you feel like crap, and to really take an inventory of those people and make a decision who do you want to be around?
Mm-hmm.
The ones who inspire you. Yeah, yeah, I would say yes, for sure, for sure.
Right.
And I think that there's nothing wrong with, again, people are always talking about, just positive, think positive, think positive, think positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with like having positive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's even more important is to, change the filter, like to check in with how you're filtering your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and if you see that it's negative, question it, and then maybe choose a positive thought. But like, don't just like knee jerk, like if you feel bad, no, I feel great. That's not
Mm-hmm.
really going to work.
Right.
So it's like taking a little bit of a space in between, especially something that's like a long critical belief about yourself, like I'm not smart enough, I'm not this,
Mm-hmm.
and really questioning it. I mean, believe me, that's what I did for myself with just having my voice and
Mm-hmm.
saying, wait a minute, people come to me to see what I have to say. I guess
Right.
I have something to say. What I'm going to let go of that long held belief that I have nothing important to say.
Right.
And And then whenever that, that negative thought that I don't comes up, I just, I just, again, now it's just a game. I'm just like, hello,
Well,
see you.
I like the approach to that. Now, in fact, several topics have come to mind as we're talking here. Now, we talk about is it real or not in terms of your thoughts and how do you make that distinction? And still, I can see many topics coming out behind that because how do we make that determination? Now, I'm going to make the other extreme challenge. I've met people in dialogue, of disagreement dialogue, because I'm being polite about it, and they'll blurt out, well, I just don't care what you think or what you say. So clearly that person has made it very clear to me that they're not going to be influenced, and maybe they are influenced by reacting back to it in a challenging manner. And we're in our end of our stage of talk here, but I certainly consider the topic of, besides I can't make a decision, I don't know what I don't have enough self value to make a choice one way or the other without doubt or concerns or anxieties, versus I don't give a flip. It's easy for me to filter everything out, and it's just where I am at the moment, and that's where things are going. So can you summarize?
That's again, that's an extreme, and in a way that you say that it sounds negative, like I'm not going to care, but I think that for you to really have everything just like not land on you, like just be like, I'm okay, you can just say whatever you want. That takes a high level of enlightenment, which I'm not even close to. And so that's like, that's a hard thing to reach for. But but to stop and say, okay, was this person a jerk to me because maybe they have something going on in themselves rather than it's about me, that they don't like me, blah, blah, blah. And, just like when you're watching a movie, we can watch the same movie and completely come out with different interpretations, so it's all in what we say to ourselves,
I hear that. And I like that tongue tied already. She does this to me every time, folks. That concluding statement. Thanks for visiting us. I'm going to say a quick goodbye because we've passed our 15-minute session. We try to keep ourselves honest. Please share your thoughts with us and with friends and non-friends, perhaps, and let us know what your thoughts are.
Yes, and remember, you don't have to believe all your thoughts, especially the negative ones.
Okay, very nice.
Thank you so much.